Return of the Mount Hua Sect. Chapter 222. How come you don't know that? Boom. Boom. The sound of battle horns echoed throughout the palace. Thud, 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 thud. And then came the sound of drums. And soon, all kinds of sounds could be heard from different instruments. Buried in the cacophony of the melody, Baekchun looked around with a blank face. Delightful. The people of the palace were holding instruments on either sides and playing them with smiles on their faces. And in the square where they had previously been, there were now dancers in loose clothing jumping around. Baekchun lowered his head. Seafood kept piling up in front of him, and each plate had dishes he had never even heard of. But the one thing they all had in common was that everything looked extremely delicious. Regardless of the scent or the color, he was seeing each and every one of these dishes for the first time in his life. The food seemed to be screaming, "I have a great cook." He glanced around and saw the others looking as lost and clueless as he was. That's pretty obvious. If Baekchun himself couldn't understand it, how could the others understand what was happening? As if their thoughts were regarded to be irrelevant, loud laughter could be heard from the other side. Eat a lot. Eat more. We weren't sure if the food of Yunnan would suit you at first. The palace lord laughed again. With each laugh, their ears trembled. Baekchun pressed his fingers into his ear to check whether his ears had started bleeding. Fortunately, he didn't see blood. I have always wanted to visit Mount Hua, but I could not go to the Central Plains, so I had to wait patiently for an opportunity that allowed me to do so. But the disciples of Mount Hua and the descendants of the Plum Blossom Sword Saint have come here in person. This is the happiest day of my life. Oh my. Bring me alcohol. Yes, my lord. Peach extract. Bring out the peach extract. I need to treat the guests properly. Yes, my lord. Some of the attendants rushed out of the room as soon as the order was given. The palace lord chuckled and looked at the disciples of Mount Hua in delight. However, the whole situation made the disciples of Mount Hua very uneasy. I cannot even look at his eyes because of how scared I am. Why is everything so big here? Even the people are big. Why is his head that big? Since they were all sitting together, they realized how huge the people of this place were. Although they had strong bodies due to Chungmung's training, they felt they were all 3-year-old infants whose bodies could be crushed by anyone present here at any moment. Seeing them, the palace lord burst into laughter. Looking at the muscles that would pulsate along with each laugh, the disciples couldn't even hold their chopsticks properly. Can I really eat all of this? Well, all of the disciples except for one person. You are asking such a natural thing. They have all been prepared for you. Is the peach extract you talked about that delicious? It is the best drink in Yunnan. It isn't normally served to outsiders, however. Since only a small amount is brewed each time, it is a special drink reserved for special occasions, even for us. You can feel a heavenly scent each time you smell it. Chungmung laughed like he was enjoying it. He calmly raised his chopsticks and began to gorge down the food. Ah, this tastes quite unique. It is kind of strangely sweet, but also spicy. Everyone, try it. Do you even care about the situation we are in? They had thought that they understood Chungmung to some extent. The disciples of Mount Hua, who collectively realized that their standards of appraising this man were too absurd, shook their heads. They could never understand this guy. In the meantime, the drink was served. They were served the drink in 5 pure white jade bottles. You people! Didn't I tell you to bring the peach extracts? It is the peach extract, my lord. I meant all of them. Are you trying to disgrace me in front of the descendants of the great Plum Blossom Sword Saint? Do I need to cut off the veins in your throat to bring you back to your senses? But then they'll die. How would one get back their senses when they're dead? However, the man just bowed, and the palace lord yelled, "Bring them all right now!" "Yes, lord." "Right now!" "Yes, palace lord." The non-man beast palace lord looked at the servants with a frown, and then turned his head at the disciples of Mount Hua. Suddenly, there was a soft smile on his previously wrathful face. "This is embarrassing. Guests of the Central Plains, please don't hate us too much."
"Ah, what are you saying? You have given us food and drinks. You are such nice people."
I am a little temperamental too. The disciples of Mount Hua looked at the two with puzzled faces. What is all this? They had seen Chongmyung speak to many different people many different times, but it was their first time seeing him get along with an old man like this. "Here, let's have a glass." The palace lord gave Chongmyung a drink. The other person was just holding the bottle with one hand instead of two, and it was understandable why the lord was angry at the sight of the 5 bottles. They simply wouldn't be enough for him. Poor. He filled the cups of all the disciples with the peach extract. In an instant, its rich flavor hit their noses. "Come on, take it." The disciples bowed their heads lightly to show their gratitude and drank it. And as soon as they did, everyone looked shocked. "Wow! Oh my!" They couldn't speak much after having it. "Is it good?"
"The name you have is perfect for it."
"Ah, you! Your young friend is a good talker. He knows how to make people feel good." The man patted Baekchun on the back with his huge hand. Baekchun felt his body turn into jelly. It was a hand that was patting him, but it felt like he was being hit by a horse carriage. Baekchun genuinely thought that his intestines would pop out. To think there would be such a day, to meet the descendants of the Plum Blossom Sword Saint. Jogul, who heard it, opened his mouth wide. But, it is a bit weird. Is the Plum Blossom Sword Saint famous in Yunnan? What? The palace lord's eyes shone with a dangerous light, despite the smile on his face. In Yunnan? What does that mean? Isn't the Plum Blossom Sword Saint a hero of this world? Huh? When Jogul asked his question, the man just asked something else again, unable to understand the reaction. No. Then you are saying that the people of the Central Plains do not know of the 5 heroes who eliminated the demonic sect. 5 heroes? This is my first time hearing about such a thing. What? The palace lord yelled out loud in shock, and everyone covered their ears. Why does a person from the Central Plains not know about the 5 heroes who eliminated the demonic sect? Without them, Yunnan and the Central Plains would have been full of the demonic bastards. Does this mean you people in the Central Plains do not even know about the grace the 5 heroes bestowed upon us? The palace lord screamed in anger. The force emanating from his body made the disciples of Mount Hua go stiff. It felt like a mountain had popped up in front of them, and Chongmyung, who was savoring the alcohol, said, "Ah, why are you mad at the kids?" Ah, right. I cannot be angry at the descendants of the Plum Blossom Sword Saint. The palace lord laughed and smiled. So, you are saying that you do not know of that? Yes. How can you not know the 5 heroes who made the most brilliant achievement in the war against the demonic sect? Then, how did you think the demonic sect bastards were defeated? Everyone in the Central Plains united. Those sympathy rip-off bastards. Those crumpled old idiots. Baekchun closed his eyes. In this world, there were normal people, Chongmyung, and people like Chongmyung. The problem now was that the 2 of the latter were in the same place. This is hell. At least it feels like it. The non-man beast palace lord, who thought for a moment, clicked his tongue. The 5 heroes who eliminated the demonic sect refers to the 5 heroes who showed the most dazzling form in the terrible war against the demonic sect. One of them is the Plum Blossom Sword Saint, your ancestor, and the other one was the throwing daggers Tangbo of the Sichuan Tang family, who was his close friend. The remaining 3. The man frowned and said, I don't know who they are. Huh? What was that? At the beginning, the title of the 5 heroes was nothing more than a makeshift title made by people who were jealous of the Plum Blossom Sword Saint's bravery. So, they made it look like a collective effort. Therefore, you only need to remember the names of these 2 people. The man spoke proudly. The Plum Blossom Sword Saint defeated the demonic sect. Goosebumps rose on the skin of the disciples as they heard that. They had never thought that they would hear this from anyone other than someone from Mount Hua. No, they never heard it even in Mount Hua. A moment of great emotion came over them. Ahem. Baekchun tilted his head. Why? Why is that idiot puffing up his chest? What is with that face? Why do you look so happy? The other disciples were looking at the palace lord, so they didn't see the expression on Chongmyung's face. The Plum Blossom Sword Saint did. Are you saying you don't know about this? We did hear that he was one of the best masters in the world, and that he had done a great job during the war too, but it was just that. What? One of the best masters? You idiot! The palace lord looked furious again. What kind of madman would refer to the Plum Blossom Sword Saint as one of the best? He was the best in the world. Even those demonic bastards used to run with their tails behind their legs at the mention of his name. How dare people refer him with such low titles? Ahem. Chongmyung, I will hit you. But why do you keep doing that? Everyone in the world was saved by him, even outside Yunnan. When those cruel demon sect people came for Yunnan, the damn Central Plain bastards changed their attitude and turned away from us. We ended up on the brink of extinction. But thanks to the Plum Blossom Sword Saint, the demonic bastards who had been eyeing Yunnan retreated. Oh. Baekchun nodded his head. After listening to this, he could understand why the Nanman Beast Palace and the other sects of Yunnan were hostile to the Central Plains and friendly to the Plum Blossom Sword Saint. And it isn't that. It was the Plum Blossom Sword Saint who came all the way to Sichuan and annihilated those bastards. And when they divided and tried to attack Yunnan, he protected Yunnan as well. Oh, if it weren't for him, the Nanman Beast Palace would have been destroyed long ago. So how could we not favor him? To see such a saint appear from among those wicked people was like seeing a dragon emerge from a muddy river. Ah, that is why. Right. This is why we, the Nanman Beast Palace, made a shrine for the Plum Blossom Sword Saint and offered ancestral rites to him every year. If we don't show him grace, despite all that he did for us, we would be worse than bugs. He was someone who loved their Yunnan so much. How can we ever forget that? Hearing those words, Chongmyung felt warm inside. I have no idea what you are saying. If there was a fight, he fought. If there were demonic sect people, he would run after them and stop them. What did he say? I saved Yunnan. Right. If you say I did, I must have. There was some misunderstanding, but he didn't feel the urge to correct it. Even when he was defending Yunnan alone, the people of the Central Plains asked him to come back to Sichuan. The eyes of the palace lord were constantly changing as they became emotional while reiterating the story. The Mount Hua disciples, on the other hand, were very excited. Ah, that happened. As expected from the Plum Blossom Sword Saint. Only Chongmyung tilted his head. What was that? He never did that. Ah, Dao's Tiong. Those bastards have appeared in Sichuan. Let's go. Let's go and break their heads. But the commander is telling us not to go? Is that so? Then we definitely need to go. Who is he to give us orders to not fight them? Let's go. Yes. Huh? Was it that one time? As expected, people use their minds in the kindest way. The palace lord smiled and continued. Of course, he is respected as a saint, but he is also someone who needs to be respected as a warrior. He ascended the heights of the sky and made the evil bastards tremble at the mention of his name. His achievements are so dazzling that they cannot be put into words.
Ahem.
Baekchun turned and looked at Chungmyung once again. The Plum Blossom Sword Saint.
Kah!
He is dazzling.
My.
We should never forget the grace he showed us.
Oh.
This is insane. No, he had always been insane, but now he is totally gone. Every time the Palace Lord praised the Plum Blossom Sword Saint, this bastard would twist his body and make weird noises. So how can I not treat the descendants of the great man kindly? You are the only ones from the Central Plains who are treated as guests in Yunnan. So, rest and enjoy yourself. Yunnan welcomes you. The man shouted loudly. What are you waiting for? Eat and drink and enjoy yourself. You are all precious people who have come to us. Yes, my lord. Seeing the place turn noisy, Chungmyung smiled warmly.
There is someone who knows of my greatness. This is why people should live a good life. Right, Sect Leader Sahyong?